Hello, welcome to the Writing Gals. We are so excited to be coming to you live again tonight. We are trying out a new platform to broadcast through, and so far we're really liking it. We've got more bells and whistles. So just one more reason why sometimes when life throws you a curveball, you end up being, better off than you were before. So we're pretty excited about this. We do have a really exciting announcement that we're going to make at the end of the broadcast. So nobody go away because you're not going to want to miss it, but we want to make sure everybody gets on to hear it before we make the announcement. So we're going to do a really brief discussion about where we all are, because it's been a few weeks since we've been on here live, and then we're going to go straight into tonight's topic, which is demystifying the myths of publishing, because we have a lot to talk about. So Victorine, what's going on for you?
All right, so I am still working on my YA series, my Rockford High series, and I just had a new book released today. Yay! So that'll be the third one in the series released today, and then I am more than halfway done with the fourth one in the book. So that'll release in 30 days from today.
That's awesome. My daughter's already reading the third book. So she made it to the other two, and she's jumping on this one. So one of your early readers. Amy, what have you got going on?
Well, unlike the other ladies here, besides Victorine, my kids are still home and will be home until the 1st of September. So I am just trying to survive. I had a lot of family, a really busy July, and then my husband had ACL surgery and I threw out my back. And so I'm just trying to survive. But writing, I'm currently almost halfway through. Almost halfway through Her Ex, which is the fourth book of my Braxton Brothers series. And while we were gone, I released book 6 of my Rural series, which was exciting. So I'm just trying to write.
So we're going to take a minute to try and figure out our thing. So I put up this really cool thing. I can show what Courtney says, and now I don't know how to take it down. Victorine, do you know how to take it down?
I think you just click on it again.
Oh, okay, perfect. So now we can flash people's comments up here through the video, but unfortunately it covers up Amy and Judy's face when we do that. We'll just have to take 2 turns on who's on the bottom, on the bottom row. Judy, tell us about your amazing publishing schedule next.
So I just published my latest book, Forever Yours, last Wednesday. And it's doing all right. Publishing is always stressful and a lot of emotions, but it's been good. I went on a vacation to distract me a bit. And now I'm back and I need to get back to work. I haven't worked since then, so I'm kind of brewing some ideas for my next book and hoping to get started next week. But my schedule just changed a lot because my husband just went back to work. And so now I'm just trying to figure out how to be a stay-at-home mom again and write and cook and do laundry again. So it's like, so I really hope I can write books still, but I'm sure I will, but it will just maybe be even slower. So we'll find out, but that's my life.
It's amazing how any change at all makes you have to almost start from scratch, because as I talked about in our group on Facebook, I am now home without kids and I get to have this time period every day to write, theoretically, but it's proving to be more difficult than I thought to actually get in my chair and work. And then once I'm there to make it happen, I'm kind of struggling, but I'm bound and determined to finish the third book in my Summer of First Kisses series tomorrow and get that live by the end of the month. And then I'll have 2 more books that will be released before the end of September. And so I'm having so much fun writing the series that I just can't even stand it, because it's all connected and they're all friends, and every story is about a different one of the friends in the group. And so it presents a whole new range of challenges, but also just, a lot of amazing fun. Okay, so we are going to get into some of these. So these are questions that we have seen posted in various places. And we want to get in and just tell you what we think about them. And obviously, not all of them are going to have a concrete answer, but we're just going to give you our best thoughts on all of them. And we're going to talk about whether or not these myths are true. And if they're not, then we're going to talk about why or what it means to you, you know. So the first myth is that you can't make money as an indie. Who wants to talk about that?
False.
False.
So untrue.
So untrue.
You can make money. You can make lots of money. It just depends on how you do it. So
Yeah. The
Chris
money
Knight
is there.
just commented, "Oh my word, Amy is earning while she's talking. LOL, I love it. Haha." So I posted a comment. So that obviously is not true because you heard my book report go cha-ching,
Cha-ching.
and I'm money.
Yes. You can earn money while you're sleeping. It's the best thing to wake up and already have earned money for the day.
yep.
Yes.
Yeah, last year I went on vacation. I had like my best sales days ever when I was just doing fun stuff. So it was great.
Awesome.
So it takes work, it takes dedication, and it definitely takes, reaching your readers with what they want to read. And that's what we're all about on this channel, is teaching people how to accomplish making money. And we are proof that you can do it. Okay, second myth. People with Kindle Unlimited never actually buy books. Also not true. I have a lot of people say, I read it on KU and loved it so much, I bought it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then also there are some books that aren't in KU that I still buy.
Yep.
Even though I have KU. I'm like, I still want that book, so I'm going to get that one.
Absolutely. All right. And third myth is writing is a gift, not a learnable craft.
No,
You
that's
can
a myth.
learn. Yeah. It helps to be gifted, of course. So your learning curve is a little easier. But
Yes.
you can
And
definitely learn.
also to qualify, just having the gift is not enough. You still have to learn the craft, right? So it's one thing, they're two separate things. And if you can do both, then you're in good shape. If you can have a gift and learn, you're probably going to be at the top of the writing world. But you can earn a living, even if you're not the most talented writer ever, just by putting out good content that, you've learned how to craft with all of your time either educating yourself and or reading and putting your time in with actually writing and learning how to do it. All right, fourth, editing. You don't have to have your book edited. You don't need an editor. Is that a myth?
I think it depends as well. I know people who get proofreaders but won't have editors and they do just fine. However, I would say if you're starting, but I think she's got like 50 books out now. So I don't know if I would take that as the gospel, but I would say anybody who's starting out definitely needs an editor. You need somebody to help you. Although when I started, I had a lot of really intellectual people who read my books and were able to critique it that way. And then because I couldn't afford it. And so I just had people read it a lot. But now that I go back and read it, I'm like, I really should have gotten an editor for this book because it's bad.
Yeah. And I think that is the experience of a lot of independent authors, is that you start where you can. And so you can find readers and you can get good reviews with books that haven't been professionally edited. And you just start somewhere. You start where you can and do the best you can. And then you improve your editing and what you invest in it as you're able to, for sure.
Right. And I would say a lot of what we do is like, art. You would never tell a street performer you haven't had formal training, so you can't be out on the street performing, right? But as we get better and as we start that income coming in, definitely reinvest in yourself and in your work and do hire editors, because I'm never going to tell you don't publish if you can't afford an editor, but it's going to make it so much better if you can hire an editor.
I love that. And as you go on, you're going to learn what kind of editing you like to have, because like Victorine says, this is an art form. And so some people feel like the wrong kind of editor will edit their book out of, their particular style or voice. And so you need to find an editor that just makes you better and makes a better version of your vision and what you want to produce. Okay. You need a certain number of reviews for BookBub to get a BookBub featured ad.
I don't know. I've never got one, so
I
I've
would
gotten
not say that. I would subscribe to BookBub, and then you can see what books they sent. Some have like 3,000, and some have like 10.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's a rhyme or reason. However, I do wonder if you have more BookBub followers, if that looks favorable to them.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. You think that is because it seems like after I started having in the hundreds, then they started looking at me. But again, I don't know.
There's certainly not a magic number of reviews because I think when they accepted my box set, I only had like 12 or 15 or something like that. There's not a magic number of reviews that you need to hit. I think that there are a lot of things you can do to increase your chances, and having a lot of good reviews is one of them. And being published on multiple platforms is also one of them, but none of them are necessary. It's an accumulation of all of them when you're competing against other books the same day when their editors are choosing who they're going to pick. So yes, reviews will give you a leg up, but there's not like a gold standard of reviews or something.
Hey, Michelle, since we're talking about reviews, I just want to say that reviews should not trump sales. So I have rule number 1 is my best-selling book, and I've sold a lot, and I have 73 reviews. So in comparison to the amount of books I've actually sold, is very, very small. So if I'm going to say something to somebody, don't focus on reviews. Get 5. That's what 5 is a good number. I think that's enough to tell people that other people have read it. But I think people, I mean, you were talking a $2.99 book, even a 99-cent book. I don't think people really read the reviews. And if you look at like posts that people say, what causes you to buy a book? It's like cover, blurb, and then like way down at the bottom is reviews and look inside. So that's not where you should focus. I see a lot of people who get stressed out. I need to have X amount of reviews. And I'm like, that's not where your focus should be. Your focus should be in sales, because you'll sell lots of books, but not very many people will review.
Okay.
Yeah, there's this myth that like goes around saying once.
Oh, I think she froze. So she was saying people think that if you hit 50 reviews on Amazon, I think this is where she was going, that you're automatically going to, get more visible on Amazon. It's not the case.
No.
So,
Yeah, sorry about my bad internet. Like, this is annoying.
poor Judy. We want her here full time all the time, and her internet's like, no. Okay. All traditional publishers are created equal. So we don't know tons about them, but no, they certainly aren't.
No.
So there are going to be some big publishers that are going to have a lot of clout and really be a feather in your bonnet, so to speak, and be able to have a big marketing budget, perhaps, and they may give you some of it. There are going to be some smaller publishers that are going to be able to give you a more individual and teamwork kind of experience, but they may not be able to do as much for you or get you into as many bookstores if that's what you're going for. Some of them will write better contracts, and some people will try and steal as many rights from you as they can. So there's a wide variety out there, and you need to do your homework if you're going to go that route.
And I think too, when people go to buy a book, I don't even know what all the big 5 publishing houses are. I think as writers, we're more stingy about that. Maybe readers are, but I'm not. Like, I don't look at who publishes what. I look at the book and the cover and things like that. So I don't know if you're talking in terms of like, I want to get trad published or just in general, but I'm like, I don't even know. If it's a good book, it's a good book. I'm going to buy it.
Very true. Okay. There's a myth that traditional publishers don't market your books.
Some do better than others. If you're like their star, book, then yeah, they will. And others, they ask you to do a lot still. So
I've heard that a good rule of thumb is that they're going to spend as much on marketing your book as they have relatively given you an advance.
Yeah.
So if they've given you a small advance, they're not going to give you a lot of marketing help. If they give you a big advance, they're going to push your book because they need to make that advance back. They need it to earn. And so that's kind of a way you can figure out how much help you're going to get from your publisher. Number 8, you're magically a better author if you hit the lists. And we actually have a list author since Victorine is a New York Times bestseller. So, does hitting a list magically make you a better author?
No, but it's increasingly harder and harder to hit a big list, and so you probably are a good author if you can hit a list. But it doesn't magically make you better, and it doesn't magically sell books for you either. So
it does make you look a little cooler, though.
It makes you look cool. But mostly to other authors who care about it.
Yeah, and then there's the other side of it where so many authors get together in groups and publish, a big collection and all get a joint effort going on to push their marketing so that they can hit a list. And so, there's with anything, there's all different variations and experiences and types of authors and types of books that get on there. And so I think it can definitely be something that, is worthy of all the adulation that it gets. And then there are going to be some authors who hit lists for various reasons and may not ever put out, a book that's sterling quality. So it's something that just doesn't have a straight answer except no, it doesn't automatically make you a magically better author. Okay, genre fiction is less worthy than literary fiction.
No way.
No.
That is so untrue.
Not true.
Say the romance writers.
What do you think we were going to say? It's all of what's valuable to the reader, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Yep. And the experience that they're looking for. So.
Yeah. Okay. You have to hit the number 1 spot in a category to make any real money.
No.
I think
it helps.
Yes and no. I mean, if you hit the number 1 in contemporary romance or the number 1 of all Amazon, then you're going to be making a lot of money. You could hit number 1s in like really obscure categories and that not mean very much.
Yeah, like I saw someone recently posting that there was number 1 in a category, but they were still in like the ranking in the 200,000s. So that number 1 looks really cool, but they're not necessarily making very much.
And you also have to think royalties versus profit. Because it depends on how much advertising money you're spending to get to that spot too. It's going to directly affect how much is actual profit from what you're earning. So yeah, if you're the number 1 spot in contemporary romance, you're going to be bringing in, a lot of sales every day. And, but you're going to be playing with the big boys as far as advertising to be getting up there most of the time too. And so hopefully you definitely come out ahead, but, that's something to take into consideration too. Okay.
I would say that a lot of readers, if they see the orange tag, are more apt to buy. So the orange tag, I mean, it's orange for a reason, and it's placed where it is for a reason. And so getting one is nice because I don't even think people read what category it is. Maybe they do, but they just see, oh, this is obvious. It's like Amazon kind of giving a stamp of approval on a book. Like this book is doing well. Amazon thinks it's doing well enough that I'm going to do it. Although it's always weird because I was buying a plant for my front room. And I bought the bestseller in plants on Amazon.
Yeah. I always buy the Amazon choice for like different things that I'm getting. I'm like, okay, yes, that's a good one.
There's something about that. Yeah. So getting an orange tag is good. Just make sure you get an orange tag in a category you belong in.
Yeah,
yes,
definitely.
Don't be somewhere else that you're not supposed to be.
Yes. Authors gone wild putting their books in the wrong categories. So definitely I would look at orange tags not necessarily as a sign that someone's making a lot of money, but look at orange tags as something you want to get because it's a good marketing tool for you. You can't succeed in oversaturated markets.
I think that's a myth. I mean, sometimes you want to target a smaller market, but I've seen many people succeed really well in markets that are huge.
Which is romance, which is what we all write in. So that's a huge market. So I don't think that's, if anything, if it's a huge market, it's a good sign because there's enough readers out there who want to read it to have made it a giant category.
there's something to be said for this, which is why K-Lytics and different places will show you the number of people who want to read in a category versus how many books are actually there. And they tell you whether or not, this book is good, it's profitable because it's easy to get into because there's a hungry market for it and not a lot of people there. So that's always something to take into consideration. But if you want to write in a market that's really hot, that there's a lot of people writing in it, you just have to, stand out enough that the readers are going to choose your book, when they're looking for something to read. So you just have to be on your game in an oversaturated market. But you can succeed in it.
And I think there's also taking something that's like you said, underserved. And when we talk about this, we're talking more like tropes that the readers are expecting to see and finding a new and fun way of doing it. Stand out for yourself, find a different way that sell for covers or titles, or a different way to approach what they're used to seeing, but making it just a little bit different, but that's intriguing. And I think that's how you kind of make a name for yourself in an oversaturated market.
Yeah. You definitely have to give them something special. Okay. You should only work on one book at a time. Oh gosh, I hope not.
Depends on who you are.
Very true. Very true.
Enough. I should only work on one book at a time.
I force myself to work on one book at a time because if I don't, well, it depends. I can write a YA and an adult at the same time because it's two different types of writing. But if I didn't, I would probably never finish a book because when I get to about the halfway mark and I'm so done with the book, I have to force myself and be like, you get to start a new book, but you have to finish this one first. That sort of thing.
Yeah. I think it's definitely something that when it gets to the end of the book, I have to focus on one book at a time. But you have to finish a book somehow or other and focus on it to get that to happen. But there's different ways to work on multiple books at a time that can be in different stages. Like they can be in pre-planning, they can be in drafting, they can be in editing, all different stages and have different books going. And that's actually a great formula for being able to rapid release is having, books coming down the conveyor belt in different stages ready to get out the door.
And I think you get less attached to books that way because I'll have my editor or I'll have my content editor email me back and say, I think you need to change this. And I'll be like, sure. Yeah, whatever. I don't care. I'm on book 3 already. I don't even remember what you're talking about. So I'm not like, no, these are my babies. And this is what they were supposed to do. I'm like, whatever, get it out and get it selling. That's all I care about. Probably bad, but
no, it's not. It's very good. You can't, no, what to say? Writing to market or to trends means you're not being authentic. So stupid. See the eye rolls? Like literally, I watched everybody roll their eyes at the same time. That was awesome. Yes, this is the worst.
It's all in how you present your work. That is exactly what we're talking about. But everything else is authentic. It's just when I want to go buy a tree, I want to look for a tree that's easy to find. I don't want to have to be told tall, leafy green things because I'm never going to buy it.
So my favorite quote right now is by Dan Brown. He said, give readers what they want in a way they don't expect. And, that's the thing is that if you're writing to market, you're writing, a trend that's really, hot, you're giving the readers what they want. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be, the same old thing that everybody else is writing because you're going to give it your own twist and your own voice and your own style. And you're going to make it, sparkle and be fabulous. And so, no, it's not authentic. And you have to, if you're just putting out words and you don't care about them and your heart's not in it, readers are going to be able to tell, So yes, I do think that there are some people who can write books and they're not very authentic, but it's not a correlation, a direct correlation. It's something that can happen if somebody's not putting, the real effort into it that we should all be putting into our writing. There's no market for short books. So I guess we maybe need to qualify what short books are.
Depends on how short.
Depends on how short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because your 30,000 ones are doing great.
Yeah,
so
they are. And I think that there is a small market for short fiction. But
erotica,
yeah,
can be really short.
Yes. So Amazon has categories for, 2-minute reads and 5-minute reads and 30-minute reads and 1-hour reads. They have all those categories for a reason, so that people who are looking for something that they can just pick up on a train ride or, while they're sitting in a waiting room and have a complete little snack size story can get it. So there is a market. How big it is, will probably depend on the length of the book. And probably the longer your book, the bigger your market will be. But that doesn't mean don't write it. And I personally think that writing short fiction is a great way to improve your craft. And once you're doing it, you might as well sell it, right? Only romance sells well. This sounds like the frustrations of
Harry Potter's doing great. That's not romance.
No. Yeah, I mean, look at all the genres that sell well. Sci-fi sells amazing. Mysteries, thrillers, fantasy. It all sells well. Now, romance is going to have a bigger market share than a lot of the others, but all of them have a hungry market.
I know authors making bank in a lot of different categories. Mystery, definitely, thrillers, and sci-fi, fantasy. I know authors in all of them making bank. So
yeah. We're talking millions of readers in every single one of these. There's so much room to sell in any genre you want to write in. So you must have a writing degree to write a good book. No. I don't think any of us have a writing degree.
Nope.
I came close to kind of majoring in some writing type majors, like rhetoric and literature. But it's certainly not.
You posted about your daughter not liking English. I hated English class. Ugh. It was like, I don't even know what, even to this day, I think my brain has purposely never learned like nouns and verbs and adverbs because I just think that's stupid. And so I tried to learn it, but my brain's like, no, you will not learn that. No. So even to this I'm like, noun, maybe, I don't know.
See, I didn't understand all those until I took German in high school. So I'm like,
that
I know what those are now. But
I took sign language, so that did not really work that way.
Yeah.
So
I learned all those things so I could do Mad Libs.
Yeah.
I love it.
I think all the people that are taking these, roads like through formal education to learn how to read are going to have a lot of things that they will, benefit from. And if that's what you want to do and you enjoy, then go for it. But I have heard so many of them say that it did actually nothing for their writing career, that they just kind of had to start over from the beginning and relearn craft, because everything that you learn in formal education about writing is really focused towards literary fiction for the most part. And it's so highbrow, and they have a certain way of looking down on genre fiction in general. And, so it kind of
if you want to write literary fiction, go get your English degree.
Yeah. If you want to learn and earn a living, then
just read a lot of books and work hard and practice.
Well, I listened to Brandon Sanderson, and he said, don't get a college degree in English. Go out and take as many different types of classes that you can take.
Yep, for sure. Which is why
history would be great. I think having a history degree would be really good, especially if you want to write historical something.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Psychology is good if you want to.
Oh yeah, totally.
I took lots of psychology classes.
Yep. So there's that answer. Writing the same concept as another author is plagiarism. I could go off on plagiarism so far. It is not plagiarism to use the same idea because no one has, a completely original idea. It's not plagiarism to use the same word. If somebody uses a word in their book and you use that word a lot, it's not plagiarism. Okay? The only thing that is plagiarism is taking a collection of words and
in the same order.
Or changing them slightly, but still using the same words. So plagiarism gets thrown around a whole lot. It's a terrible thing that we all hate and, makes us all livid to think about being plagiarized, or we're angry for people who have had that happen to them. But I think it's important for us to understand what plagiarism is, because it gets thrown around too often. And I think it kind of undermines the severity of when actual plagiarism happens. So you cannot own an idea or a concept or a word. All you can own is the collection and the actual words that you put together in your own book. Does that make sense? So that's plagiarism. Now, that doesn't make it cool to steal a whole author's series and all their titles and all their taglines and basically just tweak them a tiny bit or not because you want to. Okay, just
Not cool.
Not cool, everybody. We've ranted about that before. All right, there's only one way to write a book. Nope. There's as many ways to write a book as there are authors. So anybody that gives you the advice that this is the only way you can do it, you have to use my method, you have to outline my way, you have to write from beginning to end. Anything anybody tells you like that,
that's just for them. You're a different person.
It's their way to do it. You have to find what works for you. I'm trying to read what Courtney is saying over here.
Well, while you do that, Michelle, I think it's also important to emphasize that there's also not one way to make money, and there's not one way to make a career, and there's not one way to make a happy life. And so we really hope that we're emphasizing that you find your own journey on the Writing Gals, that what I do is not what the other three ladies do, and what Judy does isn't what we do. And we've found our own path and the way to make it work. And if it's rapid releasing, great. If it's releasing once a year, that's amazing too. Like, there's no one way to do things. I know lots of people who make really good. I mean, I don't think Mark Dawson, he makes crap tons of money, and I don't think he releases very often. So there's lots and lots of different ways to advertise and to write and to market and to be a happy author and finding your own path. And sometimes that does mean making mistakes, and it does mean pushing yourself to the brink where you're like, okay, I'm not going to run a marathon ever again because I hated it and it sucked. But so then you can pull back and say, well, I didn't run that far, but I can run a half a marathon and I can survive that. So sometimes it is pushing yourself and taking that advice in and trying it, but then also realizing if it's not working for you, then don't do it. Don't be miserable. We got one life to live. Make it a happy one.
And you can do different things and try different things at different stages of your life.
Yep.
And in your career.
Yep, I've written books in all kinds of different ways. So,
yeah,
yep.
I'm constantly reinventing my process. Yeah. Writing with structure or a formula is paint by numbers. Nope.
No.
It just helps if you want it to.
Yeah. It's
If
not like cross
that, then you should try it, because writing a book is not paint by numbers, no matter how you're doing it.
I wish it was like that. It's like, do this one.
Yay, Victorine's getting sassy. Yay. That's going to make this so much more fun. Okay. All free books are crap. No, they're not.
And then basically the library should just burn down. Right?
Well, not only that, but why would anyone keep downloading free books if they're crap? And guess what, people do download free books all the time. And they download free books, and then if they like them, they go on and they read the rest of the series. And that's how people find series, and they know that, and that's why they're willing to keep downloading free books all the time. So I keep hearing about people whose Kindle books have 3,000 free books on them, and they've never read any of them. And I'm like, well, that's that person's problem, because you know what I do when I download a free book? I read it, and then if I get a few pages in and I hate it, I delete it, and it's gone, and that's the end of that book's influence in my life. I don't get stacks of free books in my Kindles because I vet them, and if I read them, then awesome, and I go on and buy the rest of the series. That's exactly how I've discovered the majority of my favorite authors and my favorite series is by reading free books.
Well, and if that was true, then authors wouldn't do free books,
right?
Because they wouldn't be getting people reading through, like you said. So then why would you give away your book if you're not going to do anything? Like if nothing's going to happen after that. There are crappy free books. We're not saying that, but not all of them are.
Yeah. There's actually
pay $700 from BookBub to get up there. So
there are actually compost piles full of bad free books on Amazon, but they don't stick around forever, and they don't stick
get
around
high, and they don't get visible. So
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
And now I don't know if you guys noticed, but KDP Dashboard now gives you quality warnings that they will suppress your book and do all these other sorts of things. So I have a feeling that crappy books out there are going to start diminishing because Amazon's going to start cutting them.
I think they've always done that, because I got an email or two like that back in like 2010 or 11, but I think they're bringing it out again. Like, you think every once in a while Amazon's like, okay, let's deal with this, and so then they'll start like pick up.
But what I want to know is, okay, so mine got tagged for like 3 typos, and it's like a scary email they send you, and I'm like, seriously, for like a double word? But I'm like, what about all these traditionally published books? Are they getting these like warnings too?
So I think it comes from readers.
I do think it.
Yeah, that's what I think, because they said they show you and then they highlight. So I think people highlight and then submit it. So
yeah,
they would too.
So I think it's under report a problem. Is that on the book product page? And if you report a problem and then you tell Amazon what the problem is, they have to give you the typos, what they were, and then Amazon sends it on to the author. So it basically means that you found a persnickety reader who wanted to take the time to
Free proofreading.
a typo.
There you go.
I know, it's nice. It's just scary when Amazon sends it to you and says,
It is.
He's suppressed. And you're like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Typo?
Okay, the gold rush days of self-publishing are over. I think it's changed, but
Yeah, it's changing.
It's not over.
It's constantly changing, but we have to up our game. There's
Mhm.
just more people publishing in this pool now. And a lot of traditionally published authors are saying, hey, I want to dip my toes in this pool. It's becoming a little more crowded, so we have to up our game.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, watch the show Gold Rush. I mean, how long ago did people rush to the West, to get gold? And like hundreds of years, and we're still getting gold. So you just have to get new machinery and figure out new ways to get that out of the ground, but it's there. It's like saying readers are dying. Like, no. I like to think of things as like a hills and valleys, right? We're going to have hills where lots and lots of people are going to want to join, and then they're going to start realizing it's harder and they want to go get a day job, which is fine. And so then it's going to come down again, and then it's going to get a little easier, and then it's just going to kind of go up and down. But that's why I like to watch Chris Fox. Chris Fox is very analytical when he talks about this kind of stuff. And he talks about it, and he gets, every time I listen to him, I come away going, okay, this is just the beginning. He's like, this is just the start of ebook reading and self-publishing. So we are still in the very early stages of it. So don't let it get you down.
Yeah. Just be hungry and ready to watch the shifts in the market and the changes in technology and where things are going, and be ready to move with it. And anytime Amazon changes how it's, managing its ebook distribution, be ready, and, marketing, be ready to move with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, using ghostwriters is cheating. No,
but I
It's not
think you should be
cheating.
really, really careful, because ghostwriters will plagiarize, and then you get in trouble.
Yeah. So it is a tool to use with extreme caution. But come on, all the big guys use ghostwriters. It's not cheating. It's just another tool, like I said. Okay, a good rank equals good profit. We kind of touched on this a little bit before, so go back and listen to that answer again. Sorry.
I would say out of all the things to look at, is rank would be what I would look at. Not tags, not reviews, not any of those things. Rank's going to be the most unbiased way of getting information on how a single book is doing at a time.
Yeah, like all of us who are watching other people's books all the time, that's what we're always talking about, is where's their rank? Or if somebody's saying that they're making a lot of money and you should listen to them when they're telling you how to sell books or whatever, go check the ranks of their books and see if they know what they're talking about.
I do that. Even when they talk about craft, I look at books and I go, well, maybe I won't take what you say as 100% truth.
Yep. And I've definitely gotten, when I go to conferences and I'm about to go take someone's class or considering which classes to take, I go look at their books.
Unless they're wide. That's the only, sometimes rank isn't as influential as wide, because you don't get those, like a higher rank in theory
Yes.
means more sales in terms of.
And then there's bookstore sales too. But I think that there's still some value to be seen in the rank numbers, because I don't know very many books that sell well, in a bookstore or on Apple or anywhere else that isn't also going to sell well on Amazon. So the problem is traditional publishers or like authors who have a trad contract and their book is selling well in general at the beginning and then it slows down, their publisher will stop putting it in bookstores, and that kind of makes it lose a lot of its momentum. And if they've never put a lot of effort into driving that ebook business and building that, support and structure for their ebook side of their business, then it can cause them to decline rapidly in rank, even though the book is good and has once sold well. If you only write 1 to 2 books a year, you'll never be successful. Nope.
No.
No.
If they're really good, amazing books.
Yep.
I think you'd be okay.
Oh yeah.
But say it one more time.
If you only write 1 to 2 books a year, you'll never be successful.
Well, 1 to 2 books over a 10-year span is 20 books, and that should be making you $50K. So, I mean, it just depends on how fast you want things to come in. But you also have to give yourself time. I mean, if I put out my first book I ever wrote that took me 3 years to write, it'd be terrible. So, I mean, it also depends on where you are in your life. Now, if you're like, I've hit this plateau and I'm not getting up higher where I want to be, that's when you have to start considering having more books or writing a little faster to get you bumped up to that next level. But I mean, some people need $2,000 to live off of. Some people need $20,000. I mean, it just depends on where you need to be.
Yeah.
What's your term of success?
Yeah, that's very true. Success is definitely a subjective thing. Yeah. If a book flops at first, it will always be a flop.
No. Mm-hmm. You can always add another book to the series and bump it up, or advertise,
or relaunch it, recover it. Yeah. It's basically, what's the word I'm looking for? Something you have in the bank. It's a
bond,
an investment.
An investment. It's something that you have put time and money, and now there's value in it. And you just have to learn how to make it work for you. And you may not have had the skills when you first launched it, but then later on you can come back and make it work.
But if it's a book that really maybe should not have been published, you have to consider that as well.
Yeah. I mean, there's always the definite chance that it just stinks, and that happens a lot. And I hate to see authors that just publish a book and they'll spend the next 3 years trying to get that one book to sell.
Yeah.
Right.
And I would never say do that.
Yeah. Always be writing your next book.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And, write the next book, sell the next book, write the next book, sell the next book. And you're going to learn and you're going to get better and you're going to improve. And then at some point you can go back and look at that book with a completely different perspective. And you'll be able to see right away what you can do with it. But, don't spend 3 years trying to sell a book that isn't working. Just keep it in mind. Keep it over there in its own little world and decide if you want to do something with it later. People self-publish because they couldn't get a traditional deal.
Not
Some
true.
do, some don't.
Some choose to.
Yep. And if that's the case, it's actually okay. Like, it makes it sound like such a bad thing. Right. I've never, submitted a book to an agent or a publisher, but if I had and I got rejected 50 times, it didn't mean my book wasn't good. It meant it wasn't right for those publishers. It meant that they didn't see a market for it. It meant that they didn't feel like they could take a risk on something that was new and different. It doesn't mean your book is bad. And so the best thing you can actually do with the book that you're not going to be able to sell anywhere to be sold through a traditional publisher is to publish it yourself and find your own market and your own readers. So that question, like that myth, is worded in a way to make you feel like, oh, we're less than because we couldn't get a deal. When it actually means in a lot of cases, We were just business savvy and saw, hey, this isn't working. I'm going to find a way to make it work. And I'm going to make money off this product and show all these other people, hey, you should have grabbed my book while you had the chance. I know a lot of authors that are suddenly like, you know what? You had your chance to have me, and now you can't afford me because you can't pay me what I can make selling it on my own.
Yep.
Well, and I always hate that you have to be one or the other. I'm like, why can't you be both? Why can't you be all things? Why do you have to be trad or indie? Like, why? And I will tell you, there is no better feeling than being able to approach an agent or have an agent come after you. Because when you spend a lot of time trying to find an agent, and all of a sudden you're like, I just got a deal from an X, Y, or Z company and they want to know my rights. Well, let me go find an agent. And the agent's like, yeah, I'll sign you. Bam, you got an agent. So that feels really good. Just so that for me, that like in the back of my head, that because it opens a door for me. So if I did want to be traditionally published, that I could go or try being traditionally published, and then I have an agent. But I think we forget that agents, it's all subjective. There's no magic ball crystal that people can look into. I mean, Harry Potter got rejected by what, 20 publishing houses before it got picked up. So there is no one way of doing things. And just because you get an agent doesn't mean it's going to sell your book. And just because you get you sell your book doesn't mean you're going to get, like, they're going to continue pushing your book. It might sell and then just go way down. So there's just no one way to do any of this. So don't feel like I have to be on one team or the other. You can come be on my team. We're on the everything team. We take everything and try it all.
And one of the best ways to actually get a traditionally publishing contract, sometimes it's so hard, so many words, is to actually be successful as an indie author. Because before, it used to have such a stigma about it that if you ever self-publish, then they'll never consider you. When nowadays they can see, hey, if they want a new author to have, a platform and a readership and all this sort of stuff, and now here's this indie author who's making bank and moving books and has a massive newsletter and a massive following, why in the world would they not pick this indie author over some person who hasn't, proven themselves in the market yet? So there's a lot to be said for going ahead and
well, and I think there's less of a shock, I think, to being indie going trad, because how much work you put into pushing your book. And then instead of just sitting back and being like, well, I've written a book and I've sent it, and now I don't know what to do with it. I mean, if I was traditionally published, I would know exactly it would drive me crazy not knowing numbers and things like that, but I would know how to advertise, how to reach readers, how to get out there and get visible. You get used to talking about yourself and talking about your books. And I think, there'd be a lot more different things like going to bookstores and stuff like that you'd have to consider that I've never done. But being indie is great. And I think it can help in both areas, whereas being trad is good. But I think you don't get that kind of savviness that you get from being indie.
Yeah. Women can't write good science fiction.
What?
Yeah.
Who said that?
Well, I think it's so. I said that. I didn't say that. Sorry. I included this.
This is what Michelle
not say that. I am finding these myths around
the shirt now.
No, so I was comparing it actually to people saying that men can't write romance. It's the same thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
We know men can write romance, but a lot of men will write under a female pen name, and a lot of women will write sci-fi or mystery or thriller under a male pen name or a name that sounds, more masculine, which is why J.K. Rowling is J.K., because they didn't want to sell Harry Potter under a woman's name. And so, there is a lot of stigma in the different genres based on gender, which is, ridiculous. But I think, that's just all of us need to keep upsetting and shaking out all of those expectations about who can write what. There's nothing about even military science fiction that, there aren't women out there perfectly capable to handle it. And there's nothing about romance, that men can't connect to or, be gentle and soft and passionate about, because men can be all those things too. So let's not be ridiculous, people.
Well, I think we need to stay away from anybody who says you can't do something.
Exactly.
I'm not going to get into details of hot button topics. But for me personally, if an author ever tells you you cannot do blah, you just run away from them because that's ridiculous.
Exactly.
We need to be putting more confidence and more all of these other things into our books and into other authors, that we don't need other authors who feel like they have the moral compass on all of this to be stifling anybody. You wouldn't tell, I mean, like the Mona Lisa was painted by, I mean, like, seriously, no, because then people's creativity, and then they get worried, and they get in their head, and then, no. So you heard it from me. If they say something, you can just be like, "Ish," and then walk away.
Make that sound.
Yeah.
Okay. Amazon is killing bookstores. I think bookstores are killing bookstores, and big 5 publishers are killing bookstores. And Amazon is taking advantage and making them, it's forcing them into position where they have to be smarter, and they're not being smarter.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
well, I mean, you think about it, Amazon now has like apparently vegetable delivery service.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's made the other companies up their game and offer free delivery, free pickup. We'll shop for, I mean, half the time I go through the grocery store, it's a person shopping for somebody else. Yeah. So they're just finding new ways to accommodate readers that want it a certain way. I mean, it's like saying, well, is audiobooks going to kill ebooks? No, we're just going to find a new bracket of people that will want to read.
Yeah. So, I mean, I love supporting local businesses and small bookstores and all these things like that. But in any marketplace, you have to compete, and you can't just sit around and whine because somebody else is doing what you're trying to do and doing it better, and they're beating you at it. And you have to try and figure out, well, okay, if I can't beat them at this specific thing, that I'm going to beat them in this, and there were ways for bookstores to compete, and they weren't doing it. And a lot of it was because they became too corporate in the case of Barnes and Noble, and they were, not focusing on what was actually driving, what readers want, which, for example, is in Barnes and Noble, they only had so much shelf space. And so they would only carry books for a month or two, and none of the author's backlist would be there. So somebody would discover an author that they loved, and they'd come in and want to buy everything that author had. And, oh, sorry, we don't have anything else on the shelves. Let's see what you can order. And then, whatever, I'll go buy it from Amazon and have it in my house tomorrow. Yeah. So it's just like there were some advantages that Amazon had, and bookstores should have said, okay, well, what can I do to overcome and compete? And they didn't. And it's the same exact thing between, print copies and ebooks as far as the traditional publishers go. But enough said about that. I think you won't make money on your first book.
That's not true.
Nope. Not true.
Well,
it's possible.
Really didn't make out my very first book. So let's maybe qualify that.
It's very likely, and it's very possible that you will not make money on your first book. But it is not an absolute.
But if you listen to us, then there's probably a greater chance
that
you'll make more money. And you listen, then you ignore all of these myths that are incorrect.
I wish I would have had us when I was publishing my first book. And I did not.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Well, I had Victorine, sort of. Yeah, pretty much.
I had all of you.
I had in a way. And I had Michelle. We hadn't met Judy yet.
I had nobody. I had none of you.
I had everyone's. My first book sold. Yay.
Nanny. You can be like Judy, and your first book will sell. Okay, you need to write what you know. This is weird. So I first heard this advice when I was reading Anne of Green Gables, and she wanted to be a writer, and somebody told her, I think it was Gilbert Blythe, told her, you need to write what you know, which go back and write about Avonlea or, whatever. And so she did, and then she sold her book. So that was in this story. And I think it probably is very much what Ellen Montgomery went through when she was writing Anne of Green Gables, probably. And it's around a lot, like just write about what you know. And I think the advice is given because it allows you to give very good details and descriptions, and you're able to sink into it, and it's something that you're an expert in, you have authority, you can be there. And I was talking to some Regency authors about readers complaining in reviews, well, it's obvious this person has never been to this location. Well, you're right, I'm probably going to write about 1,000 locations that I've never actually been to. And when you're a historical author, you have to write about pretty much actual places, and so
in a time period that you've never been in.
But
in a time period that
in a time period that none of us will ever be in, because guess what? Time travel is also fictional. So there's a reason people say that, and I see the benefit of it, but you have to be realistic. We're writing fiction. Like, we're making things up and telling lies all the time. And the only thing we have to do is tell it convincingly. And you can write anything you want to about anyone in any place, period. And
I like
unless you get your oceans wrong.
Right.
I didn't say you couldn't make very bad mistakes.
Honestly, I live in the middle of the country, so I don't know where the oceans are.
My husband is taking over as my geographic expert, and just because I don't know how many hundreds of people are going to watch this podcast, I do know the difference between the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. But when you're writing a book set on the coast of each at the same time, you're likely that your brain's going to switch them, and then somehow 3 or 4 editors are going to edit the books, and nobody's going to catch it until somebody's like, she put the wrong ocean in here. She's so stupid.
But the truth is, we live in such a grand, amazing world that, you can watch YouTube and you can watch people. Like, I wrote about in Atlantic City, the pier there. And I was like, what is it like on the pier? And I just watched this guy literally walk around the whole amusement park. I don't even remember what it was called. Obviously, it was very important to my book. And then I knew I could kind of sort of, I didn't get descriptive because I didn't want to, but at least
I've been on like Google Earth and like made it so I was like walking down the streets and looking at all the houses and trying to figure all that out. So
I like how you were like, I was walking.
Like, I was totally walking around in Burbank, California.
So when I was writing The Truth About Billionaires, I wanted them to dare each other to eat pickled eggs at a gas station. And I've never eaten a pickled eggs. And newsflash, I will never eat a pickled egg from a gas station or anywhere else.
Pickled eggs are in gas stations?
Yeah. So in the South, at least, they'll have big jars on the counter by the register with pickled eggs.
Stick your hand in there?
I don't think they stick their hands in there. I guess it depends on the gas station you're going to. But you can also do pickled pig's feet and boiled peanuts and like all kinds of things, depending on where you are in the South. And, people love them. But I've never eaten a pickled egg. And I was like, okay, I need to figure out what it's like to eat a pickled egg. And I actually found YouTube videos of people daring other people to eat pickled eggs. And they would describe it very perfectly, how it's rubbery and tastes like vinegar and blah, 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 blah. And so it's like, awesome, So you don't have to write what you know. You just have to do a really good job of researching and or telling lies, which is what we all do.
You don't have to put like icy hot on a jockstrap and see what that feels
like. Yes, you do. You cannot write about that unless you experience it firsthand. Sorry.
Well, if nobody wrote what they could imagine, there would be no fantasy novels out there. So write what you can imagine. That's what I think. Yeah.
But at the same time, if you're trying to describe the way, a place smells, you can make something up and make it work. But if you've actually been there, like there have been times when I've gone and I've just sat somewhere and I've let my senses take in everything and made notes.
See, that's not what you would have done in New York. Because you would have been like, it just stinks in New York.
But maybe you could pull out all the different layers of what the stink was, So it can influence and it can broaden and deepen your writing if you know something. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that you have to know it, So anyways, we went a long time on that topic.
That was long.
That was long, and we must be passionate about it. Writing isn't a real job, ladies.
Oh, baloney.
Well, that's my bank account.
I mean, I think that we all kind of have this idea that a job is something that A, you're going to hate, or B, you're going to spend at least 8 hours at a desk or in a factory or behind a register or whatever. You know,
Well, what is the definition of a real job? Can we
Yeah.
put that first, and then we can say yes or no?
I don't
Is
know
it a career? Yes, it's a career.
a real job is like a stupid concept anyway, right?
It's not a 9-to-5 job, but you think about it 24/7,
It's a job you can't clock into or clock out of ever.
which is so
Okay.
frustrating on one hand because you have like my husband who's like, "Are you almost done? Are you almost done?" I'm like, if I was at a job, you would not be able to come in and ask me these questions. Or I have you go in and you work and then you come home and then you stop thinking about it. But no, we are constantly. Where's our launch at? Middle of the night, Sunday night. What are we doing? Where's my book at? How do I make it go higher? It just never stops.
Yep, it's hard to shut off. We're so close to the end. You can't be successful if you publish in more than one genre. Not true.
Not true.
Not true.
I would say starting out though, I would focus on one and build your audience there. The audience that's hungry for your next release. Because I think if you publish too much, too differently, you get confused. You confuse your readers. And then you'll get hardcore fans who will read whatever you write and will follow you into new genres.
Yep. I think that like with most of these, there's an element of truth in it. And then you just can't take it too far. Yeah, I think that you will have success more easily and quicker if you focus on one genre. But it doesn't mean that the rest of your career only has to be spent in one genre or that you couldn't make it work starting out in several. It's just going to take you longer and be harder and more complicated. So it's just a decision you all have to make. And I've made mine. Have fun with yours. Okay. There's no money in foreign markets. I don't think that's true.
Don't think that's true. However, I was reached out by a smaller Italian publishing house. And when I was talking to my agent about it, he said it is harder to get foreign rights and bigger foreign rights or bigger companies as an indie author because they still look down a lot on indie authors. So I think if you have the numbers and you approach them with an agent saying, "Hey, would you like to look at my books?" then there's a possibility there. But
yeah, I'm always surprised though at how many books I sell internationally, which reminds me there are readers there. You know.
Oh yeah, well there's the 4. There's U.S., Canada, UK, and Australia, which are all English speaking. But we're talking about if you're trying to get into like other languages.
Yep. So, and I think that, those people just are like our readers and just want books to read, right? And right now they have to go through the publishers there who are willing to do all the translation work, which is limiting their availability. And I don't think that will stay the same. I think at some point it will become easier to have your book translated into another language and sell it yourself. That's what I think.
Well, I always watch what the really, really big indie authors are doing. And like Mark Dawson's now getting his books translated into German. So I think these are the pioneers into foreign, and we're kind of sit back and let them do all the trial. And then once we know that there's an easier, more fluid, I mean, like you have to have like Amazon dot whatever abbreviation is for German, or do you sell it on Amazon.com that you're, you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't even know how to even start.
Yeah, I've heard discussions about this and it gets way finicky. So probably don't have time for it in this podcast, but
yeah. So no, that's confusing all around.
Confusing. It's a mess. Someday we'll all know. There's no money in standalones. Can anybody say To Kill a Mockingbird? Which was not only a standalone, but the only book she ever published.
No.
And the second book was published after she was dead against, I'm sure, her wishes. She was probably screaming at people.
My second biggest moneymaker was standalone book. So,
Which book was that?
Well, Not What She Seems is my second biggest. Actually, my first biggest was a standalone too. Only I put it in a series. It's my married book, Accidentally Married. Both of those are standalones. They made me tons of money.
Yep. Don't care about money. Just write for the art. Well, you can if you want
That's
to.
what you want to. Do what you want.
I don't.
Fun.
Yeah. So I think the myth is this, that if you sell for money, you're a sellout, or if you write for money, you're a sellout. And what are you selling out? Like, you can't make art and make money at the same time.
Yep.
You can do
But
that.
it's like saying I'm going to create this beautiful masterpiece and then I'm going to put it in my bedroom closet and never let anyone look at it, or never let anyone the opportunity to buy it. Like, why would you spend time out of your day away from your family to do something that you never show anybody or you never let anybody read? And then if that's true, then all free books are crap, because that's the only way you could actually get your book to readers. So no.
Yep.
No, that's not true.
Art is more worthy if you suffer for it. So, like, there's this weird perspective that people have when they look back on the past at authors who didn't make much money when they were, alive, and then after they were dead, their books made somebody a lot of money. Like those authors were somehow more venerable or something, but those authors would have given anything to make money from their books in that time. And painters who were never discovered until after they were dead spent their whole lives trying to sell paintings. Artists don't purposely not sell. It just, sometimes it didn't work out for them until later on. But for all of us, we all want to earn money doing what we love. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's no more to discredit an author for trying to make money than it is for any other career.
It's like saying a fisherman catches a giant fish, but because he doesn't want money, he's going to just let it go back in the ocean. Like, that doesn't make.
Or like plumbers go around and fix your pipes for free because it's an art form.
I could get on board with that. An electrician, come remodel my house for free.
Movies should be free, guys.
Yeah.
Okay. No, they shouldn't. Pay for artists so we can feed ourselves and stay alive and make more art.
And write more books.
All right. Yes.
Yep. Okay. Last one. Don't advertise books until you have 3 out. It's kind of tricky. Like, there's an element of truth in there, for sure. Like, the more books you have out, the more money you're going to make from advertising.
I don't like absolutes, right?
Exactly.
So I don't like that rule because it's not an absolute. But if you're spending all your time marketing your first book and it's not selling and you're, hitting a wall, write more books. Definitely.
At the same time, if your book is selling like gangbusters, put some money behind it and sell more copies.
Right.
I think where this comes from is the idea that if you spend $50 trying to sell a book and you make $60 from it, then you didn't make that much money. But if you have 2 or 3 books following it, people go on and read, then your profit has increased because that same $50 you invested has then gone on to sell all these other books. And now you've made, $200. It's just a matter of, it does increase your chances of earning a profit directly from your marketing money. Like, whatever you put into it, you'll be more likely to get out of it and earn a profit.
What I would do, though, is what I would say is that you should start learning today how to advertise. You should take a course, or you should read books, or you don't even have to take a course. Learn the Facebook platform, learn the Amazon platform, learn all those things, how to find good keywords, how to find audience, how to find interests, testing a $5 ad, just so you can know, because you'll learn so many things. You'll learn, like, what are good images, what are good taglines, headlines, blurbs. If you could just test like $5 for a week and say, I'm going to take my first book. And if you're making money off it, great. If not, because once you get 3 books, it's not like you're all of a sudden going to know how to advertise. Right. And you have now wasted those X amount of time that it took you to write those 3 books, where you could have been learning, so that you're like, okay, now I have 3 books. Now I can take advertising and go running with it. And then you're going to be spending less money in the long run, because now you have more knowledge and testing. Like, for me, putting an ad up is pretty easy. I know what to do. And my ads are normally active and selling and doing great because I have so much practice. But it's just like writing, you're not going to be able to put your first ad up and it's not going to sell like gangbusters. But having practice and even just learning and feeling comfortable on the platforms, I think, are important to learn now, because eventually this is for the level up. When you want to level up, get a new level, hit new numbers, advertising is going to be something you're going to have to do. And so learning it now is going to make that pain a little less painful.
Yeah. Yep. Awesome. Well, that's all the myths we have left out, written down. There are probably more out there. But this is all the ones we have that we're going to cover tonight. And
there are a couple comments of
yeah. Who wants to go through those?
I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, we had a lot of people who said they were so excited that we're back. So that's exciting. And they like the divided. Someone asked, what are the craft books that have made the biggest impact on your writing?
In the beginning, I read On Writing by Stephen King. There was a lot of like his story that didn't necessarily help with my writing, but I think it was near the end that he like gave some more pointers that I found really useful back in the day. I also liked, I guess that's not a craft book. I like the 2K to 10K, but that wasn't, I don't know if that's necessary craft. So
I don't know. That was my favorite one. 2K to 10K. And maybe it's not, it's kind of a craft book, but it really made a big difference in my writing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, you talked about how you should write what you love. Like everything you write should excite you.
Yeah. I have to say, as far as craft, it wasn't actually a book. I just liked really reading everything that Kim Weiland puts out. More and more, it's a little bit difficult because I see that she has a slanted perspective because she's a different kind of publisher / writer than I am, but she's on point with everything craft related. And so I highly recommend just following her blog and her podcast. So,
this isn't a book, but Writing Excuses podcast, that helped me a ton. Also, those first 2 years, I just listened to
anything Brandon Sanderson helped me. You can just look him up on YouTube, and he's got really good. And going to conferences, those are good too. And having writing friends. I think the best thing for me was getting critiqued.
Yes. I was going to say that too. You know what? I actually have like 12 craft books that I have on my Kindle that I downloaded over the summer to read, and most of them are not that good. Like, for people who are writing on craft, they sure don't know how to write a very good book, which is frustrating.
You should do one, Michelle, because you're really good at it.
Well, we'll see. I might do that at some point, but then I would just sound like, I can do it and you can't. No. So, but my point is, like, I don't really think that there is a ton out there. There's really good ones, like, on structures and plots, like Save a Cat and, just different structure books. I'm not huge into structuring. I have what works for me. Just go out and read some, but I've honestly found the most value for my time in the podcast I suggested, and also just reading books. I mean, you can listen to people break things out and tear them apart all day long, but you really just need to be reading with a critical eye, paying attention to the structure, to how they're using characterization, what they're doing with their prose, how they're introducing backstory. And you need to, if you don't like something, you need to figure out why you don't like something. So you need to make reading part of your career and part of your education more than anything else. That's what I would recommend to people. If you want to know what a good craft book is, I would say any book you ever read for fun is a good craft book if you read it the right way.
And if you write romance, Victorine's How to Write Swoon-Worthy Romance was really good too. That just like the first chapter, I'd written like a few books already, but that just like helped me learn a lot of things that I really needed to learn really fast. So it was awesome.
Thank you.
Very good.
Okay.
What else we got?
El Gross asks, says this is a myth. You have to write 50 books to really start making a living with writing.
Nope.
I am hoping. I mean, like, August has been bad, y'all, but I'm still hoping to possibly pull off a 6-figure year. And I only have 20 books out, and only like 13 to 14 of them are making me money. So,
yeah.
And I was the sole income provider after just 5 books. So,
yeah, I was making really good money with just one. So,
yeah.
It's all over the market, all over the place, guys.
Yeah. Okay, they said the same thing. I sometimes worry that there are so many free books available in the romance genre that readers will just look for those and won't start buying books. And I think you're going to get your freebie grabbers.
Mhm.
But I don't think that every author, I mean, I like to think people out there realize that there's a person on the other end of the book that needs to have, pay for braces and a new car. And I think people, if they want as an entryway point for someone to say, I've never read this author before, I'm going to try them. That works really well. But I think once you get a reader who likes you, they want to buy your books.
Well, and that's a myth, because all of 4 of us are making a lot of money selling books. If everybody just wanted free ones, then there would be nobody making money on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just not true.
And I'm going to talk as somebody who used to be really, really, really poor, and I couldn't afford to buy books very often, and I got books at the library, or I got books that were free, and it was before the Kindle Unlimited days. You quickly run out of free books that you're at all interested in. I mean, there's only so many free books that you will ever be interested in. And then you're just like, well, there's nothing out here that I want to read. And then eventually you're like, I'm just going to have to buy books. Even though I might not be able to buy another box of cereal, I'm going to buy a book because I need something good. And it's all about what people are willing to pay for and what they can afford. And guess what? The economy is doing really well right now, guys. In the US, I don't know where you all are. People can afford things, and they can afford luxuries. And if people can go and spend $10, or actually with popcorn and a drink, spend $20 to go watch a movie, or spend $8 on a coffee, they can spend $3 on a book. You know what I mean? So it's just about convincing them, that your book is something they want to read, because people are reading. They're out there and they're hungry and they want to buy books.
And I have a feeling those people who are looking for free books are the ones that have 300 on their Kindle.
Yep.
Okay, one more. Steve McGuire asks, I'm still working on my project, first book. Sometimes feel like I'm hesitating to finish it. Fear of finishing, not sure. Did you feel that on your first book, jumping into it the first time? He has fear of self-publishing.
Yeah.
Every time. I will tell you that does not go away.
I was going to say it was worse for my second. I think it was worse for my third. The fear doesn't go away. Eventually you get to where you learn how to manage it better.
Yeah.
Well, and I think you learn to say, okay, enough time and experience has taught me that, I am a good writer. But no, I definitely felt that way the first time.
I liked how it sounded like a question mark at the end of that. I am a good writer.
I kept thinking that someday I'm going to wake up and I'm not going to have made any money, because everybody who ever wanted to have read my book will have found it and read it, and it's over. But I'm like, I think our brains can't comprehend how many people there actually are in this world, and actually how many people are reading. Yeah. And that I'm just barely scraping the top of the surface of readers who have found my book. So
yeah, I just have to tell myself people are aging every day and getting old enough to read my books every day.
Yeah, so. There you go.
And Chris Fox talks about how people who used to who wanted to read all science fiction last year are reading romance. So people are moving back and forth into genres. I mean, think about when a movie comes out, everybody wants to read dystopian. Everybody wants to, and they just gobble up every single one. They love that trope. They love that storytelling. So,
yep.
That doesn't quite answer your question, but yes, we all feel that way. But the important thing is to finish it and get it to beta readers. And that, because you will never learn for your next book what you did wrong in your first to make you a better writer for your second, third, and fourth. So definitely, write down a plan, have stuff to do, and then do it.
Yep.
Just do it.
You can do it.
Yay!
And you can finish it, and then you can revise it. It's fine.
That's true. It doesn't have to be perfect.
I revised my first book for 5 years.
Yeah.
No, don't do that.
I wrote 2 others in between, so it wasn't all bad. But hey.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Is that all we got?
That's it.
Is it time to make
boiled peanuts? So that's fun.
Yep, boiled peanuts. They actually taste like pinto beans to me. Okay. All right. Is everybody listening? Is everybody
ready for your big announcement, Michelle?
It's not my big announcement. Do I get to make it?
But Michelle has been dying to
announce it. I'm like, can we just say what it is already? Especially after I made a post that got everybody asking about this specific thing. And I was like, Okay. So, yes, everybody, we are going to have a Writing Gals conference, a romance conference. and it is going to be August 6th through 8th of 2020. And it is going to be somewhere in the vicinity of the Salt Lake Valley in Utah for very specific reasons. And we do not have an exact venue yet, but that decision is going to be made very shortly, and we will be announcing it. So in order to find out more information, we would like you guys to pay attention for a post on our Facebook group page where you will sign up to be notified when registration is open for our conference.
We want to get a number of how many people are wanting to most likely come so that we can plan our venue.
We want to make sure we have enough room for everybody. And so we want you guys to tell us if you want to come to our conference August 6th through 8th of 2020, which is just like a little less than a year from now. So we're really excited, guys. We are pulling in the best teachers that we have seen at conferences, the people that we love. And so we know and we have confidence that these are the people who can teach you what you need to know. We're going to have classes on craft that is specific to romance. Yes. We're going to have classes on business and marketing that is specific to romance. It is going to be friendly for anybody who is either independently publishing or going the traditional route. We are going to be focusing on all things romance, including historical, which I'm really excited about. We're going to have historical classes. We're going to have classes that can help you with young adult and all of the, fun category stuff in romance. We're just going to try to make this just a really, really awesome romance conference with the best of instructors. We all have really strong opinions on what it takes to put on a good conference as far as the classes and the quality of the presenters and the teachers. And so we have been paying attention and talking to people and putting together a really good list of presenters. And I can't wait for you guys to see what that is going to be. We will be letting you know who else is going to be there as soon as we have finalized everything.
And the 6th will be a writing retreat with us where we will all get together and write and sprint, and you can try to beat me.
And that happen. And then we're going to have,
though. I'm getting a lot faster.
So you can come and write with us Thursday night, have conference classes all day on Friday, And Friday night we will be, is that the night we're broadcasting live?
No, that's Thursday.
I think Thursday.
So Thursday night we'll be broadcasting live after our writing session. So if you want to be there for a live broadcast of our YouTube channel, then you should come in Thursday night. Friday night is going to be a boot camp. Is that correct?
Yes.
Got to keep me in line here. And then again, all day classes on Saturday. So lots and lots of exciting information. Go and check your calendars and mark off that period of time if you want to be there. And as we get more information, you can get registered soon. We hope. We will definitely be letting you know. So, yay! We're super excited. We are going to have a conference that's going to blow all conferences you've ever been to out of the water.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
We're saying this because we know who we've talked to and we know who's coming.
And we have been to all their classes and we have loved every single one of them.
And we are going to have some new teachers that we that haven't taught before, but that are killing it in the industry.
Yes.
Which is super important to us. We want people that are there that we know, can deliver to you the best information that is possible.
And it's like super MD friendly because not a lot of conferences are. And this is, you're not going to have like, oh, yeah, you're indie, yeah, whatever, We're going to be like, yay, indie!
But if you're traditionally published, then you're welcome to because we love you too.
I'm going to have trad/indie shirts.
Yes.
So we're just super excited. We'll talk about it more, but we had to let you guys know as soon as we had the actual information that we needed to make the announcement that, because we've been working to try and do some things in the background. And so we got what we needed
to for a long time.
What, Judy?
She said we couldn't keep this a secret for a long
No,
time.
we couldn't. Especially me. It was like every week I was like, now, when can we
Tell,
when
tell.
We all have Victorine's husband to thank because he is dutifully trying to find us a venue.
Yeah, he's the smart guy that knows what he's doing. We're just like, we want to do this and we want to do that. Let's make it happen. And he's like, okay, well, let's figure out how to actually make this happen. So
Yeah.
yes. So anyway, and we will have more information to come. And this is just the beginning, guys. If this conference doesn't work out for you because of timing or whatever reason, this is just the beginning. We're just getting started here. This is like one of our favorite things to do. So there will be
And
more.
the end point will be a cruise. So
Yeah.
riding gal cruise.
Especially, I think Victoria and Amy especially are like, let's do a cruise.
We are totally doing a cruise.
But we have no
It may be
information.
just 5 of us, but we're gonna do it.
It may be in 20 years, but we'll do it. We definitely will.
All right, that's all we have for you guys. Thanks so much for staying up late. We hope that you'll like this video and subscribe to our channel. And we also hope you'll come over and join us in our Facebook group because that's where most of our partying happens. So thanks for staying up late. Good night.
Good night.